we're now live. Just put in my lapel. And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is a special na live stream episode for the results of the Miss Universe Thailand na pageant. We are a lot of us, I think, are a bit shocked and surprised dun sa results because a lot of fans are banking on a certain candidate to win, and although the winner is within the realm of possibilities of the possible winners na tinitingnan ng lahat, I think a lot of us got a little bit shook doon sa actual na results after seeing the performances of all candidates, all frontrunners and underdogs into the competition. So what we're going to do for tonight is pag-uusapan natin isa-isa yung mga points na tawag nito na pertinente in terms of what could have happened, and why are those things the possible reasons why Anntonia Porsild beat all odds and emerged victorious in Miss Universe Thailand 2023. Now, for this evening, we will be talking about the pageant itself. We will be talking then after yung on the implications and yung ramifications of the win of Anntonia with regards to her Miss Supranational na title, and with regards to her campaign later on for Miss Universe in El Salvador. And then we will also be talking a little bit about ano yung i-expect natin when it comes to the upcoming Miss Universe na pageant now that we have Anntonia competing. Okay? Sandali lang. Let me just set it up a bit yung ating Paul. Ayan. So, for everyone who just joined in doon sa ating live stream ngayon, doon sa ating chat box, makikita nyo yung poll. It's a poll that I am conducting for everyone to gauge your opinions, to gauge your feelings with regards to the results of the Miss Universe Thailand na competition. And here, I'm asking everyone if are you happy, are you content with the results? And you have 4 options here, ranging from you're very much happy to you're wishing for a different outcome, to content but not happy, not totally happy, somewhere in between siguro, and then a more hindi naman middle ground, more unaffected na stance, more stoic na stance that yung results para sa inyo. So habang tumatagal, habang dumadami tayo dito sa ating live stream ngayon, everybody, I encourage everybody to join the poll doon sa ating chat box. Ayan. And hindi tayo magpo-proceed muna without greeting everyone who's here. First na dumating today is Will Garcia. Sabi niya, "Hi Sir Jason." Mauna na akong pa-shout out. Hello Will. With regards to your comment regarding Vina, yes, age-wise, she is eligible for Miss Supranational, but in terms of her marriage status, Miss Supra does not yet allow married women into their competition. So, medyo malayo yung possibility na makapag-compete doon si Vina based on requirements alone. And I believe she's mentioned that Miss Universe Thailand 2023 will be her last competition. So, ito na yung huli niyang pageant na sasalihan. Ping is here, sabi niya, magandang gabi sir. Magandang gabi Sir Jason and all the viewers. Ayan, Nawat Shuk is here, sabi niya, Antonia's win is considered to be historical and it's making a lot of noise. I agree. It's safe to say she's going to win Miss Universe 2023. Other contestants, including Michelle Marquez D, will just compete for the first runner-up position. Huwag tayong magpadalos-dalos sa mga ganitong mga declarations, nawat, dahil hindi ito done deal. Wala pang naisulat sa bato. Hindi pa nakaukit sa sa bato yung possibility na manalo si Anntonia for Miss Universe this year. We have to remember that ang labanan is in El Salvador. And the last time that we had a venue that is Latina friendly. It was in Miami in 2020, and nakita natin yung domination ng mga Latina sa top 5. So let's hold our horses, not to jump into conclusions, not to jump into into hasty generalizations, because this might not be the case for Miss Universe. Bilog ang bola, maaring pwede pang mangyari. Remember, we still have to wait for who's going to be crowned as Miss Universe Puerto Rico, Miss Universe Colombia, and there are several other European countries that on my end I am looking at right now. There is on one hand Diane Leire from France, and of course I forgot her name, Miss Ukraine, who I think in terms of yung physical or facial beauty, Ukraine is one of those girls na aabangan natin. And it's been a while since Ukraine sent someone of this caliber na yung face talaga is ang ganda-ganda. Miss Ukraine is Angelina Usanova. May something about her that kinakailangan nating bantayan. Ayan. Nasa na tayo? Dami na kaagad comments. Love Nimrod is here. Hi Sir Jason, sabi niya, good evening. Love Nimrod. I am hoping that everyone is pretty much relaxed na ngayon. Hindi na masyado mainit yung temperature when it comes to the recently held Miss Universe Thailand. Nag-sink in naman na siguro ngayon yung pagkapanalo ni Anntonia, and I know that there are a lot of people na are not on the Anntonia bandwagon, while there are some who is on her side. So I do hope that we will have a very respectful and very intellectually stimulating na conversation with regards to her win in this evening. Vili Gutierrez Mendoza, sabi niya, amazing evening everyone, sabi niya sa lahat. So that's good. Amazing evening to you as well. We have a Travel Junkie, sabi niya, present. Production, sabi, dagdag niya, production is nice, but I still prefer a stage with a runway, which they did for the finals and for the prelims as well. Awkward lang yung side to side. I kinda agree. Sana may somewhere in the middle may T na ramp para maganda yung kuha kapag kinuhanan sila na nakahilera into one line. Dagdag ni Travel Junkie is, I don't really care who wins, but Anntonia is gorgeous, pero mukhang kabado siya kagabi. Yun yung napapansin ko kay Anntonia pagdating sa Q&A, medyo nag-shake yung lips niya, or yung nerves niya is showing whenever she's in front of the mic. So I am not sure why, pero hopefully in terms of her preparations for Miss Universe in El Salvador later, ma-address niya yon. Dan Step TV, may Indian descent din ba si Miss South Africa? Yes. Brioni Natalie Govender is, I believe, at least half or full Indian. But however, kasi sa South Africa, being as mentioned by our friend Mark Sobrajani in livestream on NUT last night, considered na integrated yung mga Indians doon sa community ng mga South Africans. So hindi issue yung whether may Indian blood or not yung ipapadala nila sa Miss Universe or mananalong Miss South Africa. Jon Snow 79 is here. Hello, good evening, Jon Snow. Sabi niya, "Hi Jason, not shocked at all. Hehehe, called it last night. Anntonia was a winner for me from the very start. You are right. Nasabi na ni Vina na nasa pa-live niya, last na niya yung sa MUT. Anntonia is one of the girls na on my end, I think, hindi ka kakabahan if and when she is crowned Miss Universe Thailand. So, I don't think na magkakamali ang ang MUT or ang TPN if they crown Jazzy, Anntonia, or Vina for Miss Universe. Kasi I think all those three girls have Miss Universe caliber written all over the resume, their face, their body, their pasarela. Hajiev is here. Good evening. Is there a chance that Vina can join Miss Diva? She needs an international stage. I am not sure if Miss Diva allows married women in their competition. So, hintayin natin kung may clarification on that. But I think Miss Diva opened possibilities for international communities to join Miss Diva several years back. I'm not just sure kung instituted pa din yung rule na yon ngayon. Okay? Nasaan? Omorphia says, liked. Nakapag-like na ba ang lahat? Hi, Sir Jason. Kinig lang habang namamalaan siya. Ayan. Yes, everyone, please do hit the thumbs up button doon sa ating pa-live stream ngayon for those who are not yet nakapag-like. This is just so that a lot of people will be able to see our content doon sa ating pa-live stream ngayon. So please, if you have time, leave a like doon sa ating live stream para mas marami yung makakita ng ating content at mas maka-enjoy ng ating community. So, Love Nimrod says, yes, Anntonia still needs to perform. Nasa na ba tayo? Hajiev, sabi niya, this is a critique on Anntonia, and he says that the thing I didn't like about Anntonia is she looked over-processed, but yes, she is what to beat in NU. I kinda agree. Medyo matapang masyado yung makeup niya for the finals. I think a little bit of toning down just so yung natural features niya would come out more. Because if you look at yung makeup ni Anntonia, ni Jazzy, and even ni Vina, halos iisa yung kayod nung hagod ng makeup brush, especially on the eyes and on the nose, doon sa kanilang parang medyo sobra masyado sa contouring yung makeup nila for the finals. And putok na putik yung labi nila, no? I mean, I'm not sure if nag-extend sila ng lip liner doon sa kanilang lip makeup. So, maybe konting medyo mas natural siguro na look yung dapat na na gawin nila. Kasi ang nangyayari parang nagkakamukha na silang mga candidates na parang iisang makeup artist lang yung gumawa nung kanilang makeup, and it shows in the screens that they look like they've been all having the same template for their makeup, and I don't think that's flattering for anyone. So I do hope that this is something that they would try to avoid, moving forward or in future Miss Universe Thailand edition. Yung medyo over-processed na look. It's pretty much like in the 90s, there is a certain, Miss Venezuela makeup. That's the same thing that I've been noticing in Miss Universe Thailand, especially in this batch. Nasa na tayo? Sabi niya na what shock, parang orchestrated naman ang results ng MUT over obviously pattern kay Catriona and Andrea Mesa. Okay, so if you're not quite happy with the results, I think the best way to air it out is through the poll. I've posted here doon sa ating chat box four ways of how you can express your satisfaction or dissatisfaction on the results. There are 4 options there. Pick one and pupulsahan natin what's your opinion. What's your feeling with regards to the results of MUT this last evening. Ayan. Nasa na tayo? I think we're back with a comment from Will Garcia. Sabi niya, sana MUPH.org should take notes on how MUT 2023 production was done, both prelims and finals. I kind of agree, especially doon sa, I think one of the biggest areas that we were all entertained is the swimsuit competition during the preliminaries. And in fact, I've placed here in one of my notes na pag-uusapan natin mamaya is, I kind of feel that the swimsuits in the preliminaries are much better than the one in the finals. So, let me know if you agree with that. Okay, nasan tayo? I think Hajiev also has the same, sentiments. Sabi niya, I hope MUP both raises their production values and caliber of contestants. Ayon. Love Nimrod says, I hope Jazzy and Chatnalyn will join again. I think with Jazzy, meron siyang like 2 years. I am not sure because during Pawinsuda's time, she mentioned that when she was a runner-up in Miss Universe Thailand, which was under a different organization back when it was still not yet handled by TPN. Because if you're not aware, Pawinsuda or Fasay was a runner-up to Maria Eren in 2017. And then when she competed in 2019, that's when she won MUT. Now, but that time, in 2019, iba na yung may-ari ng franchise. So it's already under TPN. But before, as a runner-up, she mentioned that she has like 2 years that is on contract with the original na organization, or the original na MUT organization. So I am not sure if that is the same case with the organization with TPN, if they have like a 2-year lock-in contract with the runners-up that they cannot compete in other pageants or within the MUT system all over again. So I hope someone can does have a more accurate na information on that para we can discuss that in our live stream this evening. But I do agree na I do hope to see Chatnalyn and Jazzy maybe next 2 to 3 years. For Chatnalyn, I am really hoping to see her, sometime soon. However, I am banking muna on possible returns or hopeful na returns on Icon Yalak or Kasama Suetrong, and even if it's not in MUT, I'm okay with that. John Snow, sabi niya, remember when MU 1975 was held in El Salvador? Finland won. Anpo Damo reminds me of Ingrid Bergman. Classic appeal. I have a feeling the same thing will happen this year na European would win. Possible. That's not out of the realm of possibility because you have France. Again, Diane Leire, I was already harping for her to compete in, was it 2022 or 2021? I think 2022. And thankfully, she gets to compete this year because I think she has a lot of potential, as well as the newly appointed na Miss Universe Ukraine na si Angelina Usonova. Dance Step TV. Baka kaya hindi din binigay kay Vina kasi parang mag-cancel out silang dalawa ni Miss South Africa. Parehong kwento eh. Tapos kakaka-corona lang din kay Miss India. If that's the case, then that can also be applicable to South Africa, especially that she's, coming off from the sandwich wins ni na Zozibini Tunzi and Demile Nel Peters ng 2017 and 2019. So maybe, let's see. It does make sense kung si Vina ang papanalunin if hindi ipapanalo yung ibang mga Indians ibang girls with Indian blood. But I don't think that is an issue with Miss Universe. I think that is more of an issue with MUT, which I will be discussing a little bit later. Samsi, okay, nawala yung sa kaka-scroll down ko. Masyadong masigasig tong mouse. Sabi ni Samsi, Anntonia is beautiful pero kulang sa showmanship. I don't see her as a sure spot sa top 3 or the crown. Mas gusto ko pa ang showmanship ni Jazzy. I think in terms of yung linis ng pasarela, Jazzy is on top, at least for me. Next on the ladder is Chatnalin, and third is Anntonia. I think in terms of yung technical skill nila on pasarela, I think those three are undeniably the best in the top 5. I would put siguro Vina at around number 4, simply because Vina still needs to have lesser, unnecessary movements in her pasarela. But yes, I think Jazzy would be a great, representative in Miss Universe, especially with her very long limbs. Pag titignan mo siya, hindi mo akalain na 5'9" or 5'8" and a half lang siya. You would think that she's like 5'10" or taller because of her body proportions, because of her very long legs. Nasaan na ba tayo? Villy Garcia, Villy Gutierrez Mendoza. Sir Jason, ano po ang advocacy ni Miss Anntonia? Thanks po. I kind of forgot kung ano yung advocacy niya. So, I think something to do with education yata. I kind of forgot. Sorry about that. Bonbon C, laging malas si Vina sa year na sinasalihan niya. Kung last year siya sumali or the other years, siya malamang nanalo. Lagi lang siyang natatapat sa year na puro halimaw ang kalaban. Yes, I kind of agree because the first time that she competed against, if I'm not mistaken, 2017 or 2018. And then when she competed in 2020, that was against Punika and what's her name? Amanda Obdam. And this year, she's competing against Jazzy and Anntonia. So, yeah, malalakas ang mga nakakabangga niya. Jon Snow 79, actually, nung crowning Anntonia, parang silang kambal ni Anne. Anne or Anna? Kasi si Anne Scott Kimis or Anna Swingamayam. So, or Kun Ann. Hindi naman siguro si Kun Ann yan, di ba? Okay, so Rods Abelido is here. Sabi niya, may winning glow talaga si Anntonia last night. Production number pa lang, nagsushine na talaga siya effortlessly. Ayan. I kind of agree. Although, I think that all three na front runners, iba yung glow that night. But maybe siguro person, mas kita kung sino ang nag-glow on stage. Mark Gonzalez, good PM, Sir Jason. Kaway-kaway sa mga kapwa nagpa-plancha habang nanonood ng live stream. I hope Chatnalyn will return in the next few years. She looks like Chelsea and Bea Santiago plus Pat Tumulak. I'm sure she would, if age, if age is not an issue, I'm sure she could still return. Morphia, sabi niya, I was rooting for Vina, pero siguro hindi handa ang mga Thai sa isang married beauty queen, plus Vina is of not Thai origin. What do you think, sir? That is something that me and Mark have been debating in our live stream last night, prior to the MUT na finals. I hope everyone was able to catch that. We both feel that it should not have been a factor. But maybe later on, I can mahihimay ko kung ano yung possible na reasons why hindi siya ang nanalo. Okay? So, I think, bago tayo mag-continue with the comments, ano muna tayo? Let's, what do you call this? Let's start na muna doon sa mga main points that I want to discuss doon dito sa ating live stream. And first, of course, is yung production na values. I know we've been all talking about ang glossy, ang ganda, and everything with regards to the Miss Universe Thailand na production for this year. I think that whether it's the prelims or the finals, you would find something to enjoy with regards to the competition, whether it's the preliminary na swimsuit competition or the evening gown ng finals na halos magkakamukha lahat ng mga suot ng mga candidates. You would find something that is really of entertainment value, na may entertainment value doon sa kanilang finals. On my end, I find that the opening choreography ng kanilang opening dance could have been much better had it been yung choice of music nila is something of the same beat or same tempo as that of the dances that they did during the swimsuit preliminary competition, because that had more energy. And I think for an opening, medyo kulang yung oomph nung opening number. However, I really love yung kanilang opening dresses. It's not too Barbie-ish, that there is not fierceness on the candidates sa suot nila. I think that in terms of their music choice, I am quite impressed na hindi sila derailed by copyright issues. That they were able probably to work out copyright what do you call this, arrangements na ma-white may tawag din may ma-white list yung mga kanta na pinili nila, because one of their songs, if I'm not mistaken, is by Blackpink and Lady Gaga doon sa swimsuit competition, and that is Sour Candy. That is a collaborative song between Lady Gaga and Blackpink, if I'm not mistaken. And syempre, kapag ganun kataas yung caliber ng kukunin mong singer-songwriter performers, definitely there is royalties and copyrights that needs to be paid off. So I think TPN are not afraid to pay for whitelisting the use of these copyrighted songs. And this is something that I do hope that the Miss Universe Philippines would try to invest on, because their song choices in the recently held Miss Universe Philippines na pageant seems like they were taken off from a royalty-free na website, or royalty-free na mga tawag ito na mga songs, and it kinda killed the competition vibes in Miss Universe Philippines. And I do hope NUPH, and even Binibining Pilipinas, Hiyas ng Pilipinas, Mutya ng Pilipinas, Miss World Philippines, Miss Grand Philippines would take a page on the Miss Universe Thailand na production in terms of camera panning, in terms of stage design, in terms of yung HD na what do you call this, na camera work, even yung haba ng ramp na nila and yung lighting nila na hindi mukhang madilim yung stage. I do hope that every pageant here in the Philippines would find, something that they can copy, something that they can execute and borrow from the NUT production and bring here in the Philippines so that medyo mag-level up yung production values ng mga pageants natin here. I also want to address common comments and opinions from Philippine pageant fans, whether it's on Instagram or especially on Facebook, no, that parati nilang kino-compare na okay lang yan, production value, production lang naman yan. Ang importante is that we choose high caliber girls. So paano yan? Ngayon, MUT had great production, and then they also had a selection of great candidates and was able to select a very competitive na candidate. So saan tayo mapag-iiwanan nun? It is possible to have good quality candidates and at the same time to have great production. Why settle for less? Why do we settle for, okay, as long as the winner is okay, it's fine, at the expense of a very terrible na production or a very terrible pageant na staging? I don't think that should be something that we should be settling for. We should demand excellence from anybody, including ourselves. And I think doon tayo nagkakaroon ng issue and problem, because if you comment that way, that you compare, the quality of candidates here in the Philippines versus in Thailand, then it would look like we're just sour graping, and that's not a good look. So I do hope that, fans would refrain from that and learn to appreciate, the things that other pageant or other pageant systems are showing us, that we can learn from, that we can borrow or capture or copy for our own, and make that something to strengthen our own pageant systems, pageant programs. And then the next thing that I want to discuss about production, I really love yung long runway. I think it's been a while since we've seen a long runway that is very much, of the Miss Universe bygone years, where I think during the time of Trump era, we are very much spoiled with very long runways for pageants, and I think that is something everybody misses. So it was a welcome, return doon sa ating experience with Miss Universe Thailand. So there, in terms of the swimsuits, because let's be frank, those swimsuits are very, very risque. I don't think that people who have different body, structures would look gorgeous or would look flattering on them. The design of the swimsuits are very much intended for the physically fit, for the Victoria's Secret model-esque body. And I think that is something that there should be options. That's what I'm trying to say. So that each option would probably cater to a different body type. Because in terms of inclusivity of body type, that kind of swimsuit would only be flattering for one type of body structure or body proportion. And I think that is something that can be improved on in the next iterations of the pageant. I do, however, believe that the swimsuits in the preliminary competition add a little bit of different cuts in terms of the design. Maybe a one piece or a tanga looking design with cutouts would be flattering for different body types. That would have been a welcome addition to the Miss Universe Thailand finals. I think if it was a preference, if I am going to choose which one I prefer more, I would rather have the swimsuits on the prelims because it had more personality as compared to the swimsuit that they wore in the finals. The pale, the pale sequin na swimsuit, I don't think it looked that good on stage as compared to the swimsuit in the preliminaries. So there. In terms of evening gowns, my pet peeve is that I do hope that there were more colors in the gown choices. A lot of the gowns that we've seen this year are gold and silver, maybe because that is the crown color of the new Miss Universe Thailand crown by Muad. And siguro maybe they just matched it, the colors of their gowns, they just matched it with the crown so that it would go well when they are crowned. To be honest though, I think that in terms of gown designs, there were more gown designs that I liked at the prelims as compared to the finals. Like for example, in terms of Antonia's gown, I think the silver one that she wore on the finals is the best choice over the preliminary gown that she wore. In terms of Jazzy, I prefer the green, the green gown that she wore in the prelims that has cutouts on the side because it made her body look more curvy. In terms of Venus, gown choice, I think her preliminary silver and white and yellow na gown was a much better choice as compared to the long sleeve gown that she wore in the finals. I hope that she switched yung gowns na yon because the yellow gown was more, I don't know, it was more young, airy, and it has movement. Plus, I do think that straight hair would have been the perfect choice for Vina in the finals, whether it's on the swimsuits or in the evening gown, especially with the yellow na yellow and white na preliminary gown that she wore. Now, in terms naman doon sa best gown, I think we are in all at all doon sa gown ni Anntonia. I think she had the best gown pat down among all the top 10 girls. In terms of the swimsuit performance, though, I think it was Jazzy's. I think had very controlled movement, walang magaslaw. There are no movements, side movements here and there. Her strides are very, very long and very deliberate. The way that she presented herself on stage was very impactful, and I think that is the reason why, for me, the best body proportions and the best performance overall in the swimsuit, I would give it to Jazzy. And second on that list would probably be Chatnalin. In terms naman doon sa gown performance, I think ang layo nung agwat ni Anntonia to the rest of the girls. However, in terms of yung technical proficiency on stage, I think Chatnalin also did quite well. So perhaps that is the reason why we saw Chatnalin making it into the top 5. Now, before I continue, I want to I want to comment first doon sa mga comments ninyo, respond first sa mga comments ninyo before we get into the nitty-gritty of the top 5. Okay? I think we ended up with if I'm not mistaken, with John Snow. John Snow 79 says, same ako ng kutob kay France for MU 2023. Hope to see another classic beauty to win in El Salvador. Travel Junkie says, true, MUT candidates are like clones, especially in swimsuits. The good thing with MUPH candidates, the faces are diverse. I kind of agree. In terms of diversity in body structure, in body proportions, in faces, the Philippines have a, how do I say this? It's not an advantage, but rather maybe we are more blessed in terms of diversity because with the Philippine history, we've been colonized by different countries. Intermarriages are accepted and are not a taboo here in our culture. So there's a lot of different faces when it comes to what is beautiful for the Philippines in the Filipino context. Not much probably with other ASEAN countries, but I think that the advantage of Thailand and other countries is height. Yun yung I think that is the weak area that we have as Filipinos because if I'm not mistaken, if Filipino girls are around 5'1" to 5'2" in height, Thai girls and if I'm not even mistaken, I think even Malaysia, but for sure Thai girls are between, their average height is around 5'3" to 5'4". So in terms of height, they definitely have the advantage. And naman in pageants, height is might. Jon Snow, bakit pala nandun si Celeste? Paano siya nakuhang judge? Special mention pa pagpag nung host. Well, lagi naman niyang special mention ang Pinoy fans. Parang sinasabi nila na MU needs the Pinoy watchers. I am not sure why she was selected as what do you call this, as a judge for that evening. However, I'm not surprised with the selection of Angeli and other past na MUT winners. So maybe something with regards to that. They want probably to make it more diverse na judging table this time around. But for me, I think the area that needs to be worked on in MUT is sponsors and what do you call this? And business people as main judges. I think they need to expand that to include a more diverse set of possible judges, maybe some celebrity, some sports celebrities, actors, just to make sure that the representation of different occupations is pretty much present. Kasi if you're only having like all women judges, all pageant queen judges, masyadong dekahon yung perspective perhaps nila on what the winner should look like. They probably will immediately agree na, okay, this is the pageant girl that ticks all the technical aspects of the box, and then that's what we're going to select. Maybe the reason why Anntonia was chosen as winner, it's because of the selection ng mga judges, because most of the judges are, if I'm not mistaken, mga sponsors, business women, business people, and that kind of like indicated or dictated the outcome of the pageant. Because if you've seen yung preliminaries, the preliminary competition showed sponsor awards being given majority to Anntonia, with Jazzy coming up second place. In fact, Anntonia had 5, Jazzy had 4, and then Vida was given just 1 sponsor award. So maybe that is an indication that there is, this is probably how the finals night would go, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs and business people on the judging table. They probably selected the one who is the most commercial based on their markets. So this is the reason why I believe that there needs to be diversity at the judging table. You cannot have a judging panel that is only composed of just all women or all men. There needs to be diversity in race, in occupation, in stature, in thought, diversity in thought, and diversity in perspective. Kasi I think doon medyo nagkakaroon ng lacking in terms of the selection of the panel of judges. Okay, nasaan na tayo? Sabi ni Jon Snow, Anna and Anntonia mukhang twins, hindi si Halu. Okay, yes, I kinda agree dun sa crowning photo ni Anna Suingam Ayam and Anntonia. There is kinda similarities in their face. And also, if you are not well aware, Anntonia, when she competed in Miss Supranational Thailand and in Miss Supranational back in 2000 or 2020, around that time, or 2019. I think 2019. She was trained by RL Lacanienta of RL's Angels. And then, Anas Bengam Ayam is also an RL's Angels. So maybe there's something, there's something that connects them in that sense. Okay, we have a comment here. Sorry, na-slide ko masyado towards the end of the comments. In the meantime, habang naghahanap ako ng comments, please do participate in our poll. Nakalagay doon kung are you happy and content with the MUT results. There are options there. Please do click one of those to express yung sentimiento ninyo. Oh, okay. There's a very controversial na comment dito, question dito ni Nawatshok. Sabi niya, now that Anntonia won MUT and possible to win MEU, should we still consider Supra as a major pageant? What do you think, guys? Kasi on my end, sure na ako dun sa answer ko. There are criteria that needs to be fulfilled if you want to be called an alpha pageant. Major pageant, definitely. I would say, Supranational. Miss Supranational is a major pageant. But to consider it as one of the pageant that is within the same league as Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss Earth, Miss International, I think there's still a lot of things that Miss Supranational needs to fulfill in terms of relevancy and advocacy, in terms of their social causes, what do they stand for, and not just be just like any generic pageant in terms of what they are looking for. Because if you look at Supranational, whether it's Mr. or Miss Supranational, very limited yung kanilang prototype. They have a very physical na prototype, unlike in Miss Universe or Miss World, that their prototype is pretty much more on the attitude, more on the personality of the girl, rather than a physical template. So I think that is one of those areas that they still need to to pretty much fix, because after the Miss Supranational is crowned, what is she doing? We're not aware. Does she travel? Does she travel for social causes? Does she travel for, to do charity work? Or she only travels just to crown the next local queen for that country? So I think there is, a need to be more involved, to see pageants at a larger scale, not just a, one time a year competition. And I think, if Miss Universe, Miss Supranational is able to, to take care of that area, they could possibly be part of the Big Five. But for now, I don't see the Big Five as a, as a standard in pageantry. I still think that it's still the Alpha Four or the Big Four. Nasa na tayo? Travel Junkie, sabi niya, MUT candidates are like clones. I think nabasa ko nito. something to do with diversity. Rods Abelido, ayan. And I think yung Rods, yung comment ni Rods, yung nalaktawan ko. Rod says, it makes sense with 2-year contract. Kaya if you notice, parang wala pang repeaters na nag-runner-up na sumali agad the following year. So yes, I'm not sure if that is still instituted in MUT this year, to have like, to serve first like 2 years na contract with MU. Yung mga runners-up nila like Mirisorn, Son Pramas, like I Kanyala, you know, would be able to rejoin again, because I think these are the girls that have potential to win Miss Universe. Nasaan na tayo sa comments? Sabi ni Pink, kinoronahan nila ang pinakamagandang Thai. Off topic, sabi ni Hajiev, of all MUT queens in the last years, least like ko si Amanda, most like ko si Anne. Kaya I felt super sad when she was unplaced in Miss Universe. Same as me, because I think Angeli or Anne, tama ba, Hajiev? Anne as in Angeli or Anne as in Anna? But for me, Angeli was someone na could have been a great brand ambassador for the Miss Universe pageant. Kasi nandito na yung girl na out of the box. She's not your typical pageant girl. She's tall. She's you know, more curvaceous than the ordinary pageant girl. She speaks well. Maybe need to polish on the presentation skills, but she could have been, you know, a good representation of body diversity in the Miss Universe stage, because most of the girls who made it in, you know, in ALAT had really very toned na katawan. And if you look at Bea alone, she's tall and she's very model-esque doon sa competition niya in ALAT. So yeah, for me, a little bit heartbreak on Angeli. Ang sabi ni Nathan dito, they crown someone who can penetrate the top 5. Anntonia needs to be assertive come final Q&A, or she'll end up like Maria and Fasay. Yes, that is my assessment on her during the preliminary competition. She's not as very aggressive. She doesn't come off as passionate, composed, and confident in the way that she speaks, especially even during the prepared speech round for the preliminary speech competition. I think that when it comes to on-stage question, that is where Anntonia needs to work on, because there is a fear that she might clam up. And if you look at the Q&A of the top 3 girls, it was actually Vina who answered directly to the point. Her final 3 na question on the global issue. To a certain degree, you know, Jazzy answered it well within the time frame as well. But she kind of skirted it a little bit, or got lost in, you know, in how she translated yung women empowerment with the kids, children, na part of her Q&A. The Q&A, though, of Anntonia, I find it as the weakest among the 3. However, I do think that this year, they went towards the more commercial beauty of Anntonia, rather than risk crowning, you know, the 2 more, how I'd say this, the 2 girls who have more punch in their Q&A. I think that if I'm going to look at the overall performers, I think it would have made sense to have Jazzy and Vina in the top 2. However, if we are going to look at the choices of the judges, who were the judges, and look at the fact that Anntonia is the most commercial face among among the three girls in the top three, then it makes sense that Anntonia won. Okay, so it's not that Anntonia is undeserving, but what I'm saying here is that Q&A is not the end-all be-all of a pageant. And this is the reason why in 2020, Amanda Obdam won over Vina, over Punica, who had stronger, I believe, Q&A in their batch. So this is probably another repeat of that situation where commercial beauty is given a bigger what do you call this? Is given a bigger weight over ability to speak. So I think that is the area where Anntonia excelled. So that probably explains why Anntonia won. Because if we look at the judges, and definitely the judges will with businesses, with what do you call this, with brands that they need someone to endorse their brands or endorse their businesses, their products. It's a safe bet to go towards Anntonia as your winner. Now let's have this question, or rather a comment from Jup. JUP says, personally, I think Vina overdid her performance, almost MGI level, while Anntonia was very calm and her charisma is undeniable. I kind of agree. In terms of the presentation, I find Anntonia has a cleaner presentation as compared to Vina. Vina, there's a lot of unnecessary extra movements that needs to be trimmed down. So I am not sure if it's MGI level, because you need to be like extra in MGI, like you need to, I don't know, maybe do a somersault on stage to be noticed in MGI. But for Vina, a little bit more trimming of the unnecessary movements. Dorothy V. Jones is here. Hello, Dorothy. Good evening. Dorothy says, NUT made an intelligent decision. I know that it knows that Miss Universe is on another level, and that Anntonia is the correct representative. Again, I want to reiterate that whoever they choose, whether it's Anntonia, Jazzy, or Vina, NUT has, the choice. They have they are spoiled for choice. Kasi whether one of those three girls is sent to Miss Universe, hindi sila mapapahiya. They will not, these girls will not embarrass Thailand at the Miss Universe stage, because all three girls, I believe, have a very strong, presentation skills, communication skills. They also are, very facially interesting. So I think it was just a matter of destiny and luck that Anntonia won. And Anntonia having a more cleaner na pasarela, I don't think that there's need for her to be trained on that aspect. Perhaps aside from doing her actual public appearances na job, on the side training on communication skills is necessary, because she still has this okay, there. As I was saying, Anntonia has still that nervousness when she speaks on stage. So I think, public appearances would be something that would do her good, so that she's more comfortable speaking in front of a crowd. Jon Snow says, Jazzy will have time to fix what is needed to win. For me, need niya to soften her features and tone down the energy na hindi la mala MGI or MIQ ang galaw. Sana lang din hindi sila magsabay ni I. That would be an interesting competition. I want to see that. I want to see I versus Jazzy in a Miss Universe Thailand edition. That would be for me a great treat, because I is also another killer on stage. Bonbon C is here. He's asking, do you think sa next MUP pageant, may MUT winner na magiging judge or perhaps co-host? Since Celeste was well celebrated in Thailand, rami niyang fans na Thai. So probably that's the reason why she was asked, to be part of the judging panel in Thailand this year. I do hope that they would introduce maybe one or two na MUT winners in the judging panel in the future, but I don't want that it is overrun by just all beauty queens and all past winners. Bonbon C says, the design of the swimsuits are very Brazilian. Di yun pwede kay Bea Luigi Gomez. Magmumukhang legs na tinubuan ng tao kapag ganon. Yung ipasuot mo kay Bea, because Bea already has a very unbelievably long legs, and with the cut of that swimsuit, mas lalong magmumukhang mahaba pa and proportionally long yung kanyang legs. But again, just want to reiterate, the cut is very unforgiving. So maybe give some options of different cuts, different designs in the future, especially if diversity and body diversity is something that the Miss Universe organization is pushing. Charlie Santiago is here. I love Vina. However, I think she won't make it in Miss Diva too because they are heavy on Q&A. Perhaps a translator is needed because I think Vina has improved, miles and bounds in terms of her speaking skills. As I said earlier, among the top 3 girls, I think Vina has the strongest and most pinpoint, accurate answer among the top 3 when she mentioned, climate change as the biggest global threat. Or the biggest global issue that needs to be discussed now. So I think when it comes to the speaking ability of Vina, she has vastly improved. Nathan's Corner, mas kamukha ni Anna si Jazzy. I think they can work something out sa look ni Anntonia. Jon Snow 79, for someone who was used to seeing Miss USA sa TV, nakakasad na parang naungusan na ng tuluyan ang Miss USA ng MUT. I think medyo kinda not surprising na yan with pageant fans, because I think we are already at the point where we expect high quality productions with Miss Universe Thailand na pageants. Okay, Jester PL is asking, sabi niya, Sir, I've read somewhere na iisa ang hulma ng mga winners ng Thai na more westernized na. Wala na halos oriental features. Do you agree? I don't agree. One, because there are instances within the past several years that iba-iba yung ganda ng mananalo. Now, let's start with in 2015, you have Annie Porn. 2016, Chalita. And then you have the Caucasians in Maria Ehran in 2017. And then balik doon sa very Thai na look with Ning Sofida in 2018. Then 2019, you have Fasay, which is half Canadian. And then in 2020, you have Amanda Obdam. Na ang beauty ni Amanda Obdam is very oriental, but very Chinese oriental yung overall look. And then after her, you have Angeli Scott Kemis, who is, if I'm not mistaken, half Australian. And then after that, you have Anna Swayam Ayam, who is also another, very Thai na looking na girl. And then after that, we have Anntonia. So I think nagpapalit-palit every year that they crown a halfie, they crown a full-blooded na Thai, they crown a halfie, they crown another full na blooded na Thai. So I think in terms of the in terms of the what do you call this, in terms of the kind of look that they're looking for, na they all are looking for westernized looking beauties. I think it's just because lahat ng mga girls na-enhance yung kanilang beauty, and perhaps the best doctors in beauticians and clinicians in Thailand, yun ang dinudumog ng mga girls na to. Kaya siguro nagmumukhang isa na lang yung kanilang kayod ng kanilang mukha. However, in terms of yung diversity, I think we are spoiled for choice in the Philippines dahil intermarriages are very much common here dito sa atin. Kaya siguro yun natin nasasabi na iisa ang hulma ng hinahanap nila sa MUT, because on our case, what we see in our perspective, we're spoiled for choice in terms of diverse looking Filipinas. Nasaan na tayo? I think we are with Jup's comment. Sabi ni Jup, thank you, Sir Jess. The fourth runner-up is very beautiful. Her name's Nietzsche. I'm not sure kung what province siya nanggaling, but she was one of the surprises in the competition for me. I was expecting na ang makapasok si Katie Krongtong. I am hoping na siya yung nakapasok because she's one of the girls na gusto kong makita na magsalita, because she is a graduate of environmental studies in the University of Utah. So anyway, sabi ni Jup ni JUP, thank you, Sir Jess. The fourth runner-up is very beautiful and very MI type. The girl na very Barbie. She can easily penetrate Miss International. I do hope to see her in Miss International Thailand in the future. Excuse me. And I do hope that if she excuse me, I do hope that if she tries to compete in MI, mas lambutan pa niya yung styling niya. Okay, now we have Rod's ayun, sabi ni Pink, her name is Nietzsche from the province of Lampun. Rod's Abilido, comment niya, same with the rest of the judges during MUPH. Majority of them are somehow related to MMD, her best friend's BF, president of her management, BFF of her mom, etc. Nako, maaano tayo dyan, MTRCB tayo dyan sa comment mo, Rod's Abilido. But I do hope that there is a counterbalance, like a check and balance that would happen in terms of selection of judges in any pageant, that anyone that has affiliations with certain candidates be removed from the judging table, so that maiwasan yung bias, maiwasan yung preferential na scoring for a certain candidate because of connections. So ayun, Dorothy V. Jones, sabi niya, I love Nietzsche's spirit and youthful energy. She's from Lampun. So there. Ayan. Now, let's now talk doon sa ano yung magiging impact ng win ni Anntonia for Miss Universe this year. I do think that a top 5 is very much possible with Anntonia. I think that among the Asians right now, she's probably the most the girl who is in the best position to give Asia a strong finish at the Miss Universe in El Salvador, because so far sa lahat ng mga Asian candidates, she has that very that she has that look that Latinos would appreciate. I think in the Philippines during MUPH, that position is reserved for Christina Gravides. She has a very Filipina look, but it can be a look that Latinos would be able to appreciate in terms of beauty. Similar to Gazini Ganados na yung beauty niya can be translatable to different markets, whether it's Latino, Asian, or even, European markets. I think Anntonia has that same vibes. Anntonia has that same advantage that in terms of looks, she can look very much Caucasian because of her, I believe Dutch na heritage. But at the same time, she can also look very Asian, dependent on her styling. So she has the best of both worlds, kumbaga. I think that Anntonia would probably be safely within the top 10 of the competition if she plays her cards right, if she if she works on her weak areas, especially on the speaking ability, because when she speaks, normally, casually, she's very conversant, she's very onto the point, but there needs to be, a certain coaching on stage questions where she is much more able to process the question and deliver an answer that is, directly related to what is being asked. Anntonia, I believe, because of her technical skill, if the Miss Universe, competition is going to be, swimsuit, then evening gowns, and then the top 5 is Q&A, top 3 is another Q&A, it would be, safe to say or to assume that she would be sailing quite well in the swimsuit and the evening gown competitions. So a top 5 finish is not difficult for her to achieve. But winning though, Miss Universe, after 2 rounds of speaking na rounds, that would be her litmus test if she's able to survive that. So I think she needs to work on that ASAP. She needs to be more comfortable answering on-stage questions, pageant questions, and practice that with a whole bunch of people watching her so that she gets accustomed doon sa audiences na nakikinig sa kanya answering these questions. So I am not quite I cannot say for a high degree of certainty that the Miss Universe title is reserved for Anntonia. Simply because I am looking at the Latino contingency right now at Miss Universe, and I think that they also have very strong candidates themselves. Peru, Dominican Republic, and we're still waiting for Colombia and Puerto Rico. Miss Venezuela is a Miss Earth alum, and she did well in Miss Earth as well. So I am expecting quite high from these girls. The recently crowned Miss Chile is another girl na has that Amanda Dudamel energy with her really fresh, unassuming na kind of beauty, very young and very greenhorn ang labas niya. So I'm still not yet convinced that Asia will have an easy time at Miss Universe in El Salvador this year. I am hoping that we put up a good fight. However, right now, it's safe to say that Anntonia would probably, easily penetrate the top 5 of Miss Universe. I am looking at, the possibility that hopefully Miss Diva would crown a very strong girl. Right now, Sonal Cucurella is my favorite for the title. She's my favorite since her time, competing with Harnaz in 2021. So I am hoping that we find girls in Asia that would, be very much competitive for a spot doon sa top 5, top 10, or possibly even top 16, top 20 of Miss Universe. I am not confident yet to say that, it's going to be going back to Asia. There's still a lot of unknown factors on who is going to be, crowned Miss USA, who's going to be crowned Miss Universe Colombia. So we need to wait out a little bit more before we jump into conclusions that these are the girls that is more likely to be the front runners for the Miss Universe title. But for now, I am still hoping that for Asia, at least the Philippines and Thailand would, would make it easily into the semifinalists of Miss Universe in El Salvador later this year. Now, if it happens that Anntonia will win Miss Universe in El Salvador, that will be a great opportunity for Thailand, especially if they have plans to host Miss Universe in Bangkok next year. Imagine yung pandemonium, imagine the craziness, imagine the the very loud noise on social media if Anntonia wins the third Miss Universe crown for Thailand. I think that would serve Thailand better, as it will probably give a further push for Thailand to host Miss Universe in Bangkok in 2024. So there. I think I've covered all the points that I wanted to discuss within our live stream. Let me just read up several final final comments here para before we end up our live stream. Okay, Gerard Rui Vivar says Thai women are equipped before going to global competitions. They have a lot to offer, from styling, wardrobe, national costume. But I think they have to focus more on their rhetorics. This is their Waterloo. Again, as I've said, that is something that I think Anntonia needs to be very much be training and preparing for, because Anntonia has this nervous energy that comes out on stage questions. During the press con naman niya as Miss Universe Thailand, she was very conversant, confident in the way that she speaks, and I think she needs just to translate that same energy when it comes to answering on-stage questions. Gerard, also further comments that Anntonia is Danish Thai. So there. Thank you for the for correcting. I thought Anntonia was Dutch, so Danish pala siya. Okay, Saldi Salen is here. Si MUT lang po ni Cha, parang napadighay or nabulol habang nag-i-speech. She's still young and beautiful. Maybe she can join again kung gusto niya. Mas experienced na siya if ever. Okay, sabi ni Dale McEvans, how about Michelle in MU? I'm quite confident that she will make semis in Miss Universe. Dorothy V. Jones, sabi niya, this is a wake-up call to MUPH. Agree, sana medyo mahimas-masan sila to really step up their game in terms of their production, because this is like their 5th year, and halos walang improvement from their first few editions. Jon Snow, maiba lang. Musna pages ni Tito Norman. Nasa watchlist ba kayo ni Tita Lavinia? Jon Snow, right now, ang kinakante pa lang ng mga trolls and hackers are the Mr. International na organization that is Philippine-based. Anyone who is affiliated doon sa organization na yan. So, hindi pa siya dumating dun sa punto na ang media is included doon sa tina-target nila. But if that happens, maghahalo ang balat sa tinalupan, definitely. So, I think everyone is, being careful nowadays. Kaya it's very important to have the two-factor authentication in your social media na platforms, because there are a lot of people who are very much good at hacking, and some of these organizations would go to great lengths to pay professional hackers through the dark web to hack social media pages of pageant personalities like Tito Norman. So I do hope na hindi to mangyari sa atin, knock on wood. And I do hope if this happens, you would help me by migrating to probably to YouTube as a platform to communicate, because right now I am feeling that Facebook is no longer giving us the kind of exposure in terms as a platform. So maybe one of these days makikita nyo na lang na wala nang activity, wala na tayong masyadong activity on Facebook, because unti-unti naman nang nagmamigrate ang mga tao on Instagram and on other social media platforms. And on my end, I am going to be much more active on Instagram and on YouTube anyway. So kaya napapansin nyo, mas napapadalas yung mga video content, mga live stream ko on YouTube, because I think it is much easier to have like interactions on YouTube live stream, because mas immediate yung pagpapalitan natin ng mga thoughts and opinions. Okay? So I think that's it for this evening. Thank you very much for everyone who has been involved in this discussion. I'm very much happy with with the questions that you've posted, the comments that you've posted. Now, before we end, I do however want to go back doon sa ating poll for this evening. Now, I am going to read out yung results ng poll, and right now 59% of the respondents are very much happy and content with the results of the Miss Universe Thailand pageant. They're happy with Anntonia winning. Now, there is 20% that says that, yeah, we're happy, we're content but not happy. So there is still an element of like a little bit element of a disappointment there in the results. But generally, tanggap yung resulta. And then 15% is no. Sabi nila, they wished for a different outcome. And then finally, doon sa remaining na 6%, they say that they're not affected at all. So thank you very much for letting us know of your sentiments and your thoughts with regards to the Miss Universe Thailand na pageant. Salamat sa lahat ng mga sumubaybay at nagipagpalitan ng kuro-kuro in our live stream this evening. And I do hope that we will see again each other in our next na live stream. Probably sometime around Saturday. Balik tayo dun sa ating original na time slot. Now, before we begin, I know there's like 50, 60 na mga ka-scripters na nandito ngayon. I do hope that before we end, please do leave a like and a thumbs up dun sa ating live stream ngayon, so that it will get the content is pushed to more audiences. Okay? Maraming salamat sa lahat. Have a great evening, everyone. May pasok na bukas, so I do hope that everyone would chill and have a restful evening in preparation for the short work week ahead. Please remember, on Friday, it's a holiday, as it's a declared holiday. So if anyone is telling you to go to work, make sure that you inform them that that is double the pay. Okay? Maraming salamat sa lahat ng sumubaybay, and see you again soon. Have a great evening, everyone, and do take care. Bye, everyone!